Hello and welcome to another episode of What If It's Cool, the show where we talk about anything and everything that is cool in the world today. I am the hard target, that is Daniel Porcro, and with me today is the last action hero, Tim. What's going on, brother?
Hey man, doing really well. How are you?
I'm alright. Did you like that intro for a change?
Yeah. It wasn't as convoluted as it normally is. Oh, you're getting better at something, dude.
I know. Feels good. Well, today we're going to do a review on a movie that you and our producer Ziggs were talking about. Can you just give us a background of how you came across this little nugget of a movie called Who Killed Captain Alex?
Yeah, I hadn't actually heard of Who Killed Captain Alex before. I first saw a trailer on YouTube, and it's for a movie called Te Batu Sasula. And yeah, trying to say that 3 times fast is incredibly difficult. But it was a very fun trailer. Clearly a movie that was being promoted and also looked very much like it was shot for about $2. But had a lot of really fun looking fight choreography, some really silly looking special effects. I don't know if have you seen the trailer?
For the other movie?
Yeah, for Te Batu Sasula.
Yeah, I saw that. That's the one I thought we were going to be watching first. I was like, oh man.
That one he actually lost. So yeah, that movie was completed, but I think the story goes that there might have been like a power surge or something. Something fried his computer.
Yeah.
So yeah, the only thing that exists of that now is the widely distributed trailer. So yeah, we're never going to be able to see that movie, but it had some really incredible scenes in it. Like, for example, there's a guy with the handgun, but after each shot, he actually cocks it like a shotgun. And then he's shooting cars, and then the special effects that are being used are just awesome. Like, he's shooting a car, you're seeing like bullet holes being entered into this car. You're also seeing flames just sort of erupt from where the bullets have entered. And then the last 2 shots, one actually makes the car spurt blood. I don't know why a car would spurt blood. But then after that, the car explodes. I was like, okay, yeah, I really need to see this. Like, it's ultra
Maybe it was
budget.
a transformer, maybe, you know?
Yeah, maybe, who knows? But, you know, like, it was...
Bumblebee!
It just, you know, it called to mind those really low-budget movies of the 80s that, you know, you could get they're either guilty pleasure movies or, you know, so bad that they're so good. You know, almost along the lines of, like, let's say, Samurai Cop or Miami Connection. I don't know if you've seen those, but if you haven't, definitely check them out, or at least check out the Red Letter Media reviews of them, because they make it even funnier.
I've watched both those movies thanks to Riff Tracks, which is a spin-off of Mystery Science Theater 3000. And if I hadn't had Riff Tracks riffing it, there's no chance I probably would enjoy those movies. They're mind-bendingly bad.
Miami Connection was definitely really hard to watch. I think I got a lot more out of that after watching Red Letter Media cover it, but yeah, Samurai Cop is incredibly hard to watch. It's so painful. But
it is one of the most awkward movies to watch too. I mean, Black Speedo's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, we'll have to cover it in another episode. But yeah, so, you know, because Te Batu Sasula isn't available, we had to go with the next best thing, which happened to be the director Nabwana IGG's first effort, which is Who Killed Captain Alex. And it's very rough. It's a very rough movie.
Rough is a... I don't know if that's even the right word, but I'll just go with it, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's the gentlest way that we can put it, but yeah, look, I mean, the movie opens and Captain Alex, the titular character, he's being interviewed by what look like reporters, and he's been hired to take out a group called the Tiger Mafia. And at this point, you know, And I thought this was broken, like, because I watched it on YouTube, much like you did, and there's a narrator, but like they're sort of giving out all these jokes, and I was kind of like, I was really puzzled. I was like, am I supposed to be watching these?
It felt like an episode. It felt like an episode of MST3K, like from the
exactly. Exactly. And like I was so baffled by it, but I'm like, okay, look, I'll keep going. And you know, after that, you know, he runs away from all these reporters, and yeah, they're setting up their base. So they've gone to this village which is near where the Tiger Mafia are known to be around. They're given a spot of land to set up base camp, which turns out that it's the sewage. And the landlord, who's I think the local cop, he just says, "Look, I'll warn you guys if I'm going to use the toilet." Oh, like, what is going on? Like, it's so ludicrous, the setup. Like, it's a seemingly simple setup, but like arriving at where they're supposed to be, it's just, yeah, so many things that are just mind-bogglingly weird. And like, how weird was that line when, you know, one of the soldiers, they've set up their base camp, they're starting to cook food, and then yeah, the narrator just jumps in, and then they're like, "Yeah, I'm making German food. We found German tourists. We're cooking them."
I was giggling like a schoolgirl when I heard that one. I was just like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, where does that line come from?
It's great, and it continues, and you're just like, "Am I supposed like?" You want to laugh. I'm like, should I be laughing at this? But and, you know, he's like, "Oh, very good. Save me the head." And I'm like, what the like, this is just, oh, it's so weird. I'm so weirded out.
When you started watching it, I don't think you may have read the Wikipedia like I did, because I already knew that there was going to be a commentary track over it, because I kept everything, it said commentary. I'm like, okay, so there's probably no version without it. So I went into it and I already knew that this was going to be like that. So I think that's why my experience was a little bit different than yours on that one, where like I just, alright, they're trying to be funny. Cool, I'll just laugh.
Yeah. Well, look, I went with it, and then did the research afterwards, and I was like, oh, okay. So, you know, like in Uganda, where this movie has been shot, they screen movies in halls, and then they often have a video joker, someone who's yelling out commentary as the movie's playing. So, you know, they create their own comedy out of that. And I was, you know what? I'd love to be around for one of those one day.
That's really cool. I'd love to be around that too. Like that just feels like growing, like, I don't know about you, Tim, but like growing up in my household, we'd be doing something very, very similar. We would either be with my dad, my older brother Lester, or even my mum, but just sitting there making jokes about it. Like, and it's a great experience to have. But imagine a whole community doing it though. Yeah,
I think that's what this is. It is a communal experience from the sounds of things. And the way that they share watching a movie is by poking fun at it. And, you know, that's what this movie, like, I think would be a great experience, to be watching it with friends. And even like when I was looking it up, I don't think this movie was screened overseas, but there was like a whole tour.
No, it wasn't.
Where Nabwana IGG was touring one of his movies, and it must have been Bad Black, which I think is the sequel to this, or something along those lines, at least the next film by the director. And I would have loved to have watched that. Like, similar to Miami Connection, like, you know, painful as it is, I would definitely love to watch a movie like this with an audience, because, you know, you can just imagine people would be howling with laughter at some of the stuff that we're going to talk about next. Like, there's a bar scene shortly after the intro, so after they've set up camp at this village, soldiers are all having a good time, and, you know, one of the soldiers gets a little too carried away and starts dancing with a girl, and then the video joker just jumps in and is saying, you know, like, pretending like he's part of the argument. It's like, "Oh, you know, you're dancing with my wife. I thought that is a goat." and then even when he's like, the fight scenes start, you know, the video joker jumps in, he's like, combat. And I'm like, oh, this guy's hilarious. Like, the storyline is so thinly sketched out. You know, it's just seemingly a series of scenes that are purely there for setup for the video joker to just make fun of.
I love this scene in particular because there are so many times where clearly there was multiple shots, and it's like it brings it back to the whole blaxploitation films. You know how like they'll have one shot and then it'll be like, oh, and then all of a sudden he's fine again. But there was one particular bit where the guy got hit in the face, and then the next scene he's just like he's right and ready to fight again. I'm just like, hang on, he took a massive punch to the face. He's still going.
Later on in the movie, during the final action sequence, I'm pretty sure that one of the stunt guys stuffed up and actually connected with someone in the face.
Yes,
then they fall over into the bushes, and it's like, oh, I gotta pretend like I'm taking you out, and like pretends to snap his neck. But I'm pretty sure that he punched him for real in the face. Like, I was rewinding it thinking, this is gold. This, like, everything that had preceded this was great. Like, this is also gold though. But in that first action sequence,
yeah,
I love the title that flashes up. It's called, and this is like a high school kid or maybe even a primary school kid spelling it, but it says Operation Cut Tiger's Balls. And in place of S's, they're putting Z's. And it's the Ugandan Special Forces.
I thought it was written by a teenager. Just like this.
Well, that's the thing. Like, this movie has got all the enthusiasm and excitement of a high school kid. You know, you said it yourself. Like, this is like when bogan kids have watched, let's say, a Bruce Lee movie. And then they're like, after the movie's finished, they go outside and decide that they're going to start kicking the crap out of each other and trying to be Bruce Lee. Yeah, this guy Nabwana IGG, he clearly loves classic martial arts and classic action movies.
Yeah.
And this is what he's trying to emulate, but obviously like with his culture's twist on things. And yeah, everything in it is just, it's class because, you know, you've supposedly got this elite force, the Ugandan Special Forces, and like there's just no stealth. Like there's zero stealth. They're creeping up on this compound where, you know, Tiger Mafia are meant to be having some secretive drug deal. And then they just fire their guns. There's no silencer. They just shoot this guy off a bridge. Then they sneak up underneath another bridge and shoot a guy from beneath, like through the foot. And then like the camera, or like, you know, I guess the editing is just all over the place because there's no sense of geography. Like at one moment they're creeping up on a guy who's supposed to be outside, but then they have to creep through the building to get there.
Yeah.
I did not get any, like, it's just schizophrenic. But, you know, like all throughout it, you know, you've got the video Joker just guiding you through, and, you know, like some of it just like, you know, it, even though, you know, this is clearly an amateur at work, the commentary just really gets you through. I mean, you've got one guy who goes to take a piss. He's meant to be taken hostage by the special forces. Then he immediately kicks the shit out of everyone and runs off. And you'd think that logic would dictate that, being part of Tiger Mafia, he would go back and tell everyone that the Ugandan Special Forces are there. No, he just runs away and he's never heard from again.
I just love the fact that he kicks the crap out of him, but none of them thought, oh, maybe just like chuck a gun or just use the gun, like the back end of the gun, and knock him out. Like, these guys are meant to be the SWAT team of Uganda, yeah, and yet they can't do something like that to stop him.
4 of them, and he kicks the shit out of all of them, and then he just bails.
There's 4 of them. They can't do it.
And then the guy that he was talking to, so I put him down in my notes as Pink Beret. He was rocking that pink beret, by the way.
Yeah, he was.
Unfortunately, he dies. He's standing next to a 4-wheel drive, and after they've killed him, they start pushing the 4-wheel drive out of frame. But you never know why they do that.
But that's interesting because there's bits and pieces missing from this movie, and I think it's because the same situation happened with the other movie as well. Because I was reading up, there was stuff that happened when they were trying to do it, but maybe it's just time constraints as well. Like they just say, "Oh, can't really make this any further, so we'll just leave it at that." Bang, and it clicked to the next scene.
Yeah, well, the sort of disclaimer at the start says that this is this is the only DVD master that exists. He doesn't have, I guess, like, the fully completed film. It certainly looks like it could be a DVD, but everything about it is just class. I mean, even though there's no sense of continuity, like that's where I found a lot of the humor. You think that like this is going to be a cleanly shot action sequence. It just makes no friggin' sense whatsoever. And then even the musical cues. So like, Video Joker announces, he's like, Captain Alex, the musical. And then they start playing an instrumental version of Mamma Mia. But then later on,
oh my gosh,
later on, he's even playing "Kiss from a Rose" by Seal.
But it's the panpipe solo ones, like. But that song is played all the way through the movie, and in the most randomest spots too, and it's just. Can't take it seriously from it, because there's one bit when I can't remember what the character's name, but I believe it was the wife, and she got knocked down, and she was like supposedly dead at this point, and they're playing it. I'm just like, what? So killing her made it romantic or something?
Yeah.
I just lost my mind on that one. It was hilarious.
Even the line delivery is just it's the best. There are so many lines in it that just crack you up. Like in that action scene alone, they've got the Video Joker again jumping and going, everybody in Uganda knows kung fu. And, like at that point, like it's just on. Like you just see people getting shot, and where they get shot, there's just bursts of flame. So it just reminded me of like, in Diablo, like when you get a gem to add like a fire buff, like like as soon as you get attacked, like the person just like bursts into flames. It just reminded me of that. And all the commentary, man, like he seriously just sounded like a Tito. Like I just, I've watched movies with one of my uncles, and the way that he would make comments throughout the movie would just make you enjoy the movie that much more.
We should just also make sure, because some people may not know that we're Filipino and may not even know what Tito means. Tito is just uncle in Tagalog. For those who just don't know that, now you know.
Yeah,
sorry, continue.
I remember watching, say, a Chow Yun-fat film, and then my Tito he saw a bit where, I think, so like, it might have been Chow Yun-fat, but I can't remember exactly. Anyway, the hero has to reload, and then someone throws a clip at him, and then he catches it with the bottom of the gun, and then it loads. And then, like my Tito, he was just like, Tang ina, ha nepa. And I'm just like, yeah. Like whenever I think of that particular expression, which I'm not going to translate for everyone.
Yeah, please don't.
Whenever I think of that expression, I just think of that movie, and I also think of him.
I think that was the Killers, or the Killer, if I remember correctly.
And like you just find it more amusing. You just derive more enjoyment out of a movie that way.
Could you imagine being in a room full of Titos and Titas, and then us? That's a perfect Saturday night, I reckon, watching this movie, because like the amount of expressions that would come out of us, and then hearing our aunts and uncles, just lose their minds over it. I reckon that'll be a great night out. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it could be fun. I mean, I probably wouldn't want to do that every Saturday night, but that's just me. I mean, just seeing you twice a week is, it's a bit hard,
Dude, like, the feeling's mutual, as always. Like, I'm spending a lot of time talking to you face to face. I find this very, very uncomfortable. But
yeah.
Look,
you prefer the real thing, don't you?
No, I actually don't. We'll soldier on. I think the distance is good. But
wow.
When you've got an action sequence, you'd think that they would, for someone who loves these sorts of movies, you'd think that he would throw in things like, slow-mo, or people, jumping over barricades or diving while firing their guns. In this one, and this guy is my favorite, like he's probably the MVP of the film, the guy with the red bandana, and he's always wearing the red singlet, the red mercenary.
And he's got the two cylinders with the massive cylinder, meant to look like a cross between a Tommy gun and a shotgun.
Yeah, We'll get to that in a second. But, like, there's one scene where he's backing up, and then one of the Ugandan Special Forces soldiers is backing up as well. Then they touch backs. Then they turn around.
Oh, man.
And they're holding their guns at each other, and then they're slowly backing away. But the guy in the red bandana, he sort of steps over this hole in the wall, and then as he jumps up, he does like a pirouette as he gets into position so that they can start firing on each other.
Oh, that...
Why does he do that?
Of him. The expression. Huh?
He's more of a ballerina at that point. I'm like, come on, man, this guy's meant to be badass. Why did you make him do that? And then the gun, which you said looks like a Tommy gun.
No. A cross between a Tommy gun and a shotgun.
Well, at one point, he's firing it like he would a Tommy gun. But then later on, he's suddenly got the ammo on the side and he's feeding it through. What did this gun transform into that?
I love it when he's holding it and he starts like jerking it like he starts jerking it like a shotgun, and I'm like, shotguns don't do that. You did it after one shot, not on every single shot.
This it's so schizophrenic. It's insanity all the way through, and I mean that in a good way.
Exactly.
So the battle sort of ends when two soldiers are walking some injured guy away. You don't know the significance of that. But before the battle sort of concludes, it was like a really weird moment to conclude at. But you see a female from the Tiger Mafia and this guy who's got, he's dressed, well, he's dressed in white partially. Mm. But they're trying to make their getaway up this very small hill. But as they're struggling to get away, they keep slipping down.
I have a feeling, and this is just me looking at it and analysing it, I have a feeling that wasn't planned. I think they were trying to get up and looking at how wet and slippery the land was. I think that's why it was...
And then they kept it in. Oh, like, bless you for keeping this blooper in.
The fact that they threw the briefcase over and it fell all the way back.
Oh, dude. It's class. It is so good. But then, yeah, you cut away from that, and then we finally get our introduction to who allegedly is the villain of the piece, Richard, the Tiger Mafia. And he is in a very un-Lair-like place. He does not look like he is the leader of any sort of mafia. He sits on this couch. It just looks like a regular house. You don't see any, crazy jewelry. You don't see, like a live tiger in a pen or anything like that. Like, it's very un-Lair-like. But
yeah,
he sits in this couch, and then he sits on something. He pulls out a Minnie Mouse puppet that he just places it on the armrest.
I think the reason, I know he's not meant to look. He's meant to try and look like the mafia, and that whole place doesn't look anything like it. But if you play that scene back and look at every other room that's in that entire movie, it's the nicest one. So that's where I sort of go, okay, that's probably why he's in the mafia, or they called it the mafia. But the fun thing that got me is that couch and whole setup looks like my house in the Philippines, in Manila. I remember in my uncle's house as well that we had the exact same couch, and I was sitting there going, I want to take a photo of this, send it to my uncle, and said, "Do you still have this couch? I think I don't." And if you don't, I'm pretty sure I know where it is now. Yeah.
No, I really enjoyed that, and it just again, they're working on the most minuscule budget. These guys have had to do what they can and make do with their locations. You get a sense that there's no location scouting going on. They're just shooting wherever they can.
Well, the budget was under 200 American. I was saying, but the director said it was close to $90.
Oh my goodness!
I think.
Wow.
And what does $90 buy you these days when it comes to visual effects and stuff? Nothing. Mm. And I can't even imagine what it's like over there in Uganda.
Yeah, I think what he's achieved is nothing short of a miracle. And, you know, you can tell that, like, so many people enjoy it. I mean, just scroll through the comments on YouTube and you just see how many people have gotten a massive kick out of this. And frankly, you know, that's what we need. That's what we need. Something enjoyable like this. But, you know, more on that. There's more to enjoy and unpack during this podcast of ours, during this episode. I loved how Richard would just overact everything.
His eyes, like, especially when he reacts to, like, certain things where he'll just go wide and then, like, dead.
Yep. So the person that gets captured at the end of Operation Cut Tiger's Balls was actually his brother, Martin. And you find out, you know, through this scene, and he's like, "Oh no, Martin!"
Nah, I think it was the VJ that was doing that voice though.
Nah, I think it was him.
Was it actually him? Because like,
I think it was him. No, all the blubbering was the video Joker, but I think this is him. Yeah. And
was it? Oh, okay.
Like he loses it. You know, like So he loses it because his men, even though I guess like his head henchman, whose name is Puffs, even though he got away and then his wife got away, he's mad because he's got a dozen wives, but he's only got one brother. That's what he says.
Oh gosh.
Classic. Just classic. As soon as he said, I lost it. And I think I lost it at multiple points during this, but that line just sticks out. I've got dozens of wives, but I've only got one brother.
No, that's the one line that always stuck out to me. I'm just like, I love my brother, but I'd rather have my wife.
Well, after when he's chewing out all of his goons, he says to them that he's really worried about his little brother because his brother's so sweet and has a beautiful voice.
Yeah, that's. I just couldn't understand like where that line come from. Out of everything that they were saying, I'm just like, his voice, really? But I don't know. That was a classic bit of this movie where I'm just going, I don't know if they were trying to be serious at that point, because that's when I'm just like, who the hell cares if they have a really good voice or not? You know.
He even has a couple of choice lines when he's talking to the dirty cop, the cop that helped the soldiers with locating an area for their base. He's actually on the take and he's reporting to Richard, the Tiger Mafia. But during their exchange, he has a couple of great lines. He just says, I don't know the full one, but like he goes, "I know you're trying to eat me like a juicy grasshopper." And then after that, he says, "And know this, you diarrhea squirt. I will get my brother back." I want to see that line again in another movie. Maybe in Nabwana's next film.
Well, the next bit that I liked about this is the fact that he grabs the what are they called? It was not just a box. It was like a full container of guns, and it just says like, it just says guns. And he's like, "I'll take this because we need it more than you." And it's like, he doesn't really fight him to take him back.
He's like, "No, you can't do that." He's like, "No, I'm just going to take them. You, I'm taking these." As soon as I'm like, "What? This is actually happening." He's just like, there's very few costume changes at this point.
Wait, was there costume changes except for Richard's stuff? I don't think the only one who changed. Oh wait. The informant, she's the only one who changes costume.
We have to talk about them as well. But Richard changes a couple of times. So like sometimes he goes from wearing like, you know, his leather jacket and, you know, like slacks or whatever. But then other times he's wearing a suit.
Yep.
And then there's this one scene later on where he's in an office and he's overhearing, you know, the plans of the special forces to come after him. And he just looks like this shitty accountant. Like he just doesn't cut an imposing figure at all. You're like, hang on, like I thought this guy's supposed to... What? Like But the next bit is just weird. Like, so there's, after he steals the guns, you've got the Captain Alex death scene. So Captain Alex has very little to do. Well, he has very little to do in this movie. He's almost like Steven Seagal, who received top billing in Executive Decision and then disappears halfway through.
Oh yeah, I was like, where are you going with this one? But yeah.
But yeah, so like he's there, and then he's about to hook up with Vicky, I believe her name is, and she's actually working for Tiger Mafia. And while I don't know what I don't think I've ever heard this as a euphemism for sex, but Video Joker jumps in and says, "Let's beat the rat." I don't think I've ever heard that term before.
Let's beat the rat.
Let's beat the rat. But then Captain Alex himself says some really interesting stuff. And this just reminds me of like how ludicrous some of the lines in something like, let's say, Story of Ricky would be. But it's not entirely out of place because you're already used to it at this point.
Yeah.
Captain Alex is Vicky tells him that he needs to bathe, but then she's going to give him like a surprise. And he's like, yeah, a soldier should only be naked around other soldiers. It's natural. And he should always bathe with his gun.
Yeah, he goes on about talking about his gun. You need, I have my gun with me when I bathe. I have my gun when I go to the toilet. I have my gun when I take a shit. I'm like, really? Like,
and then at this point, is this chick supposed to be hot? Because multiple times during the movie, people are like just, giving her, they're staring after her. Like she's meant to be alluring. Oh, like, is this just being, I don't know.
I think what was really weird about it is that because she was informed and everything, she didn't strike me as being tough.
Well, no, I think she's meant to be like a femme fatale. And she's using her feminine wiles to get the better of him. But this mission's all over the place to try and capture Captain Alex. Like, she's meant to lure him away. Meanwhile, a couple of soldiers from Tiger Mafia they suddenly appear in the compound. And then there's this miscommunication issue that they have. Like, one of them says, stand up. The other one tells the soldiers to sit down. So they're not even sure what they're supposed to do. And then one of them even just goes, okay, just get up. And again, like you said earlier, with Puffs and Richard's wife trying to get away when they just kept falling up that hill. It looks like this was a blooper, and perhaps it was some surviving footage that they decided to keep in.
I think that whole scene as well. It's because I got really confused halfway through it because. Is it meant to be multiple tents there? Because it just seems like it was like only one tent, and that's where Captain Alex was, and everyone else was just everything outside. And like there was no sort of like flap to cover anything. So I'm just thinking, if Vicky and Captain Alex were about to get busy, as we say in the business, full view, dude, full view.
You're right, full view. I don't think that there's. Well, either that or they're just not very shy about it.
Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe there are some exhibitionist tendencies out of Captain Alex.
But what's I think the biggest confusing, and we never even get the answer to this, who the hell killed him? And how did it happen?
Yeah, there's no resolution. It happens off screen. You just hear him scream after he's shot.
Mm.
And you think that that's going to be the central mystery that will fuel the rest of the movie. People trying to find out who killed him. And this is jumping ahead, but like when we get to the end, everything's supposedly all wrapped up. We know that this hasn't been resolved, but then the director has like these end title cards. But who killed Captain Alex? Bless him.
I just love the fact that once the smoke settles, and Richard finds out that the Captain Alex is dead. All of a sudden, Alex's brother, who's just a rando that just comes in out of nowhere, starts finding out, starts looking up, how did this all happen? First and foremost, if that's a carefully guarded headquarters, as they say, how the hell did he get on there? And they try to address it, but again, another missed opportunity because they don't go through the whole thing. Yeah,
well, he shows up and he's I'm pretty sure when I looked up in the credits, he's just known as Alex's brother. He doesn't have a name.
Yeah, I can't remember him having a name. Now that I think of it.
And yeah, the only time that I could call him anything was because of the VJ saying, "Yeah, he's the Ugandan Shaolin monk." Or later on, he starts calling him Ugandan Bruce Lee. We call him Bruce Yu. So yeah, you don't even get a sense of who he is. But yeah, like I mean, no sooner has he shown up, he's told unceremoniously to just piss off because
he's credited as Bruce Yu according to Wikipedia.
But yeah, he's told to just piss off after he's basically helped these dudes out with their investigation. And then he goes over to the Shaolin temple, which I think is just a warehouse.
It literally is just like a small house on the in the backyard, and then this calls back to what I was saying before. It just looks like a whole bunch of bogans who just watched a Steven Seagal movie or whatever, and then they're just practicing those moves to try to see who's better. But it's even worse. Like these guys look like they're drunk half the time doing it, because like when they just go for a simple high kick, they looks like they're about to fall over.
I didn't mind some of the moves though in this part, like and also it helps when you're told that it's action-packed movie. No, when one of them gets punched in the face, the Joker is like, "Ooh, Ugandan kiss."
I'm surprised you didn't tell me this, and I can't believe after how many episodes we've gone through without mentioning his name. It calls back to Guy Ritchie, the fast stop with the action sequences, and I'm sitting there going, "Where's Tim when I need him?" I'm just waiting for him to go, "Hey Dan, you must love this now because Guy Ritchie must have directed this, right?" But I had a good laugh at that. I had such a good laugh at that because I don't think he could have done those moves at the regular speed and made it funny. I reckon it just would have just looked embarrassing, and this was good. This is just good cheesy fun. This whole scene.
Yeah, and then but he wants help for vengeance, but the master is like, "No, sorry, martial arts are not for vengeance. It's just for physical fitness," which is true. You do hear that a lot in kung fu films. So yeah, like after he leaves that scene, he's later seen just chilling out. He's chilling in a tree. So he's tied like rope together to create somewhat of like a mattress.
Yeah, I thought that was weird.
He's still in his really classy tracksuit that I guess he's like Kane from Kung Fu. he just walks the earth. And yeah, I mean, he keeps that tracksuit on no matter where he goes. But yeah, he's there, and then he finds a dead body in the bushes, and like up to that point, I thought Richard's wife was dead because I'm pretty sure that Richard shot her in the neck. But
nah, he shot her in the shoulder.
Yeah, it turned out she was shot in the shoulder, and then when she's supposedly like screaming out in pain, she's like, she grabs the wound, or when she's putting herbs on it, I'm like the overacting in this is just epic.
No, the best bit of this whole scene was when her shirt gets lifted up and it is written in pen
TM. But like that bit, the payoff for that, like that bit's the setup, which I love. But Bruce Yu had earlier, like when he was doing an investigation into Captain Alex's tent, he found a card which said TM on it.
Yeah.
But the payoff was him trying to put two and two together. Like he sees the TM texter tattoo, and then he pulls out the card and he's like just looking at it all befuddled. Yep.
Yeah. And that's all you need. That's all you need to know about this movie.
He's gonna solve the Da Vinci Code. I can feel it. He's definitely gonna solve it. And I mean, like, yeah. Eventually, he just, he drops that little nugget. A bit of investigating. He's like, like, did Tiger Mafia try to kill you? And she's like, no, I'm a wife. But that part when she has the flashback and she tries to explain that she was forced into the marriage. I didn't get that because earlier she said she loved it. She goes, no, like I was in love with him. But then, you know, it has the flashback and she's actually it looks like a torture scene.
But what's the whole thing with the water? Like, is it cold water? Is it hot water? And even then, when she's, you know, trying to scream, it looks like she's laughing.
Yeah, oh man, that bit was just bizarre. Yeah, and even the person who was trying to torture her, she had like this massive, almost like Kenny's costume from South Park. It's like she had a hood on, but then she had a cap. And then she was trying to put on her glasses, but struggling to like actually put her glasses on. And then like, you know, she's throwing water all over this chick. So Richard's torturing this girl to become his wife, which is obviously very disturbing. But he says, now you must decide, marry me or die. And I legit laughed out loud at that moment because then the frame, it turns into a heart shape around her and then the VJ is like, welcome to Uganda.
Oh, man.
And everything else that follows after this is just bizarre. I mean, well, prior to that, you have like this weird training sequence where Bruce Yu's doing push-ups in shallow water. You know, like then it looks like there's meant to be a romance there because, you know, like she wants, you know, this wife of Richard wants fish cooked by him, and he's like, "What the f-?
And then he gives her his t-shirt as well, and she's like, "Don't bleed through this. I want it back." I'm like, really?
But the entire final act, it's just all over the place. So Bruce Yu's positioned as the hero, but he doesn't factor into it much at all. Then you've got, you know, this new commando of the Ugandan Special Forces, and he just sounds weird. Like, I mean, the way that they talked about him, like his introduction was, yeah, you know, he's the best commando. He's killed everywhere, wherever there's a problem with the mafia. You know, he's worked in Colombia, Russia, Pakistan, and right now he's holidaying here in Uganda. So the best commando in the world is now suddenly, conveniently holidaying in Uganda. I love it.
I just like the fact that they said he's vacationing in Uganda. I'm like, wow. I
think I just said that, bro.
No. Because you say he's on holiday, but they actually use the word vacation. So I like they're actually trying to make this like an American movie. So, you know, like obviously we say holiday here, they say vacation, and I'm just sitting there laughing. I'm just like, would they actually? Is that how they say, or they say like holiday like us over here? And that just made me laugh. I don't know why it made me laugh, but it just really made me laugh, that line.
Well, the special effects. The special effects in the closing action sequence are probably where a lot of people would get a genuine kick. So Tiger Mafia have stolen a helicopter, and they decide to just start bombing everything.
That's what they say as well. Like, bomb everything, right? Okay.
Well, when you see them bombing stuff, like the explosions just look like buildings that are blown apart in South Park. Like, that is the level of the animation, and even the helicopter itself. Like, so they've done some basic green screen effects, but the helicopter looks like it's made out of cardboard. In fact, this is the only helicopter I've seen where you can wind the window down so that you can look out of it. And these guys, when they've been told that they're obviously piloting a helicopter, they weren't told like how to exactly act that out. So they're pretending like they're driving a car when in fact they're supposed to be piloting a helicopter.
Here's the other thing that I think you may have missed. Did you realize that they were wearing 2 sets of headphones as well?
Yeah, well, one of them has headphones, and then he removes it and puts on another set of headphones before he starts the bombing operation. The other dude, he's got a headset on, but it looks like he's holding up a phone to his other ear.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, like when they're taking part in the climactic battle at the end, he's got the window open, but he's firing an AK-47 out of the window. like he's doing some kind of drive-by in the helicopter. Perfect. This movie is perfect. And then there's this line that the commando says, because they're getting shot to pieces in the jungle by the tiger mafia, but he goes, "Man, the man is killing us, man." I love it. It's
the last 20 minutes are hilarious, especially the blood that gets splattered out. That's guys, seriously, like, the link will be in the description of this movie, so you guys can watch it too. The last 20 minutes are just gold when it comes to the shots that they take and the blood that comes out. Like, there are bits of where the jungle gets shot, and then there's blood coming out of that too, and that's just watch it. That's all that is.
Yeah. This movie is really fun. It is, and it's not a long movie. It's only about an hour and 8 minutes, and it's definitely worth the time. Like, it just cracks you up. And like I said earlier, with the way things are going today, we need a bit of humor. This has it in generous amounts, and whether it was intentional or unintentional, like, you'd get a genuine laugh out of it and a genuine kick. And again, like you said, Dan, this is a movie that we would benefit with watching with friends. Yeah. So when we're allowed to all have friends over, or when we're allowed to visit one another, it's definitely something that I'd want to watch. And I think it wouldn't be a stretch to say that I think you'd also want to do this as a double feature, watch this together with Bad Black.
For sure. I honestly cannot wait till we get to do that. I really can't wait.
And yeah, the Video Joker, I thought the Video Joker would come across as pretty poor humor, and in spots, yeah, some of the humor is pretty bad and inappropriate as well, but it's just jokes most of the time. And it, like you said, it is a very riff tracks or Mystery Science Theater 3K thing that's happening, and it's actually genius. The Video Joker is basically directing criticisms at the movie themselves, so it's preventing people from just crapping all over this film. And I think it's employed really well. And like, if it's a facet of the movie going experience in Uganda, I would definitely love to experience that one day.
Definitely, I definitely would love to do that too. Well, let's ask the question: is it cool?
Absolutely cool. It's endearing, and the fact that they made this on such a small budget, it is a miracle. And yeah, we got to see it. It's a real treat. So highly recommend to anyone who wants to check this out after listening to this episode, or even before.
I mean, I think it's cool, but I think it'll only be one where you need to watch it with friends and family. I think it's one of those movies where it's best to be watching with people. So that's why I'll handle on that one. Well, that's all the time we have for this episode. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our podcast on Anchor, Spotify, Breaker, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Google Podcasts, Castbox, and of course iTunes. And while you're there, leave us a like and review. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button and enable those notifications. Make sure to follow us on Facebook at What If It's Cool Podcast, tweet us at What If It's Cool, and find us on Instagram at What If It's Cool Podcast. Keep that support going. And until next time, folks, we'll catch you on the next cast. Peace.